This is your boy Neebs, aka Watchman Neebs, and I'm here with my co-host Jazz, aka DJ Jazz Park.
DJ Jazz Park.
Jazz Park.
That actually sounds like a really cool place. I want to go there.
Like Arlong Park, but like Jazz Park. It's just old jazz
Mm-hmm.
music there.
Dude, I would love that.
All right, guys. We are finally back to doing another One Piece episode. Whereas other shows we do them like back to back to back. We've had a little trouble doing the One Pieces, so we've been doing them like once a week. So it's been like a month, and we're still trying to get through the One Piece episodes. Mostly because it's so hard to track down our dude right here, Skeeb. Welcome back, Skeeb.
Yo, thank you so much for having me. Every time we're doing an episode, I'm in a different city or a state.
No way. That's
Show
so
off.
funny. You're like a nomad.
Yes, I am.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. Where are you now?
Right now I'm in Santa Monica, California.
Oh, damn. Nice. Very cool, man. That's awesome. And where were you before? You were in Houston, I believe?
Well, yeah, Houston earlier, and then Chicago when we did the last episode.
All right. Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, we're lucky to have you. We need your One Piece knowledge because, I'm a little bit of a One Piece novice. Jazz knows quite a bit, but he needs somebody to bounce, theories and Easter eggs off of. And I am no use to him. So it's good to have you here. This is episode 7. And we get to meet a lot of fun characters in this one. We get to meet Bellamy. We get to meet Najiko. We see Arlong again. We see Buggy again. And a few other fun little characters from the Canali Islands. Ski, how would you rate this episode? What do you think about this episode based on, what you expected to happen in the anime?
Well, a rating is the understatement, but I'm going to say that they did a lot of things very well with this series. It does a really good job from the beginning where Nami would have these little subtle hints of, distraught, despair, things that she didn't want to tell the crew, little secrets. And it all built up for these last 2 episodes. And we get to see the conclusion of Nami. We actually finally see her story after seeing Usopp's, Zoro's, and Sanji's and Luffy's, a little bit of Luffy's, and now it's Nami's turn. I'm really excited. And they did hit it on the nail. They did a lot of really good development with Arlong Park and then Nami's backstory and then what they'll get to for episode 8.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this episode in the version of the anime is the one that got me hooked. This is where I was like, oh shit, I understand the hype. When we see at the end, the scene at the end of this was the scene that made me go, oh shit, this show lives up to its hype when it comes to the anime. And then when I saw this show do the same exact thing, and you can see like the side-by-side comparison of the live action and the anime, and you're just like, yeah, they're doing an amazing job. Like, they're about to stick the landing, which is so hard for a show in general, but for an anime adaptation, almost unheard of. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I got nothing more to add. I told you, man. Get through episode, 44 of the anime, and you will be hooked. Here you are.
400 episodes later, I'm still here, man. I'm a One Piece fan. I hung out with one of my buddies, Straw Hat Goofy, who is one of the biggest promoter of One Piece, saying how great it is. And when I told him that I'm finally hooked, he was so ecstatic. He's like, yes, finally. What did I tell you? And then I got the most dopest fit, man. I got this dope jacket. Let me show you my jacket. Hold on one second. Why don't you guys talk amongst yourself real quick about the episode, and I'm gonna go grab my hoodie real quick. I want to show you guys.
Cool. So, Skeeb, what did you think of the episode? How close was it to the anime?
Well, okay, so I think they did a really good job. They did change a lot of things with Arlong Park and Najiko, and then the whole civilians not really knowing. Because in the anime, the civilians actually knew what Nami was getting herself into. But this one, they're all just mad at her.
Yeah, they had no idea she was doing what she could to help everybody.
I really liked that part in the anime where they knew, but they didn't want her to know that they knew. It was kind of like really good. But I did want to show you something, Skeep. Check out my Zoro
Yo.
sweatshirt. Yo,
This is dope.
this is so fire right here. If you guys check out the podcast on YouTube, but this sweatshirt, it's so dope. But wait till you see the back.
I know. I'm sure the back is gonna be oh, the wanted poster.
The wanted poster of Roronoa Zoro,
I'm gonna see
and
right now.
it's so dope. The amount is on here too. I think it's 33 million.
Oh,
Yep.
32.
Yeah, yeah. So
3,200 billion million berries.
I went from not watching the show at all to buying merch. Now I'm a merch buyer of this show.
Nerd.
I know. I
Don't get into
know.
action figures because those are very expensive. My cousin
No.
has a huge collection of action figures,
Yeah.
statues, and they're
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. No,
expensive.
I'm more of a poster than and t-shirts kind of guy. But
You should
I
get all
haven't.
those posters.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'd be cool. You get all the wanted posters. Those are dope. The price keeps changing on them though, so you got to make sure you got the latest ones.
Like
Uh,
stocks.
yeah, yeah. But I love this show. I'm addicted. Can't wait for new seasons. I mean, the reviews have been so good that people are talking about 15 seasons. That's insane. Maybe even throwing a movie here and there would be dope. Like that would be super cool,
Oh, that actually would be an amazing idea if they did a One Piece live action movie.
right? Like 6 seasons in a movie, and then 6 more seasons in a movie, and then 6 more seasons in a movie. That
Mhm.
would be so dope. I would love it. All right, let's start off this episode and start breaking it down one by one. It starts off with Buggy and Zoro, and then Zoro kind of saying, "Hey, Buggy, we need you to tell us where Arlong Park is," and they're kind of just going at each other. Now, while this is happening, we see a little bit of beef between Sanji and Zoro to a point where Sanji calls him Mosshead, and I thought that was really, really funny. And one of the things that you see in the anime quite a bit is that the rivalry between Sanji and Zoro never diminishes. Even when they're working together, they're still just bitter rivals. Even when they agree with each other, they're so bitter about it. What is this between Sanji and Zoro where they just don't get along?
Honestly, I don't know where that stemmed from. I don't remember or recalling how it started, but you're right. I think to this day, Zoro's never called Sanji by his real name. Called him the cook, twirly eyebrows, which I loved, but they kind of took away.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. No, it's really, really cool. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
um, it's a healthy brotherly rivalry.
See, I feel like this one, the live action, is a healthy brotherly rivalry, and I feel like the anime one is a lot deeper, and like they're just like meaner to each other, but they respect the shit out of each other. Is the thing though, which I really like.
I mean, it also makes sense because like Sanji comes from this background of being all proper and whatnot, and Zoro's kind of like the brute who grew up on the mountains. And I
Yeah,
think it's just a difference of personalities, but like they're crewmates, so deal with it.
yeah. I think there's like a thing where like Zoro is kind of just gets like annoyed by Sanji's like over dramaticness about how he treats women and how he goes all crazy after that thing. Like Zoro's like, "Oh God, not again," and he kind of gets over it. And then I think that's probably where it stems from. Somewhere in the early episodes, I think like Zoro was just like annoyed by his like devotion to Nami and some of the other women, and then after that, it's just they just go back and forth. But you can tell which one is probably the bigger or the more stronger of the two. It's Zoro, right? Zoro would defeat Sanji, right? Or do we not know? Or did they go back and forth? Like, what's the hype level of those
All
two?
right, I'm not gonna give anything away. I will tell you though, there are times where Sanji's bounty is higher than Zoro's, and there are times where Zoro's is higher than Sanji's.
Oh, really? Cause where I am at the anime, like Zoro's is way higher than everyone else. He has the second most highest at this point. So if you're telling me
Hmm.
Sanji catches up, that's crazy.
He does.
Oh,
And
interesting.
we also can reveal this too, that Nami left the crew. So in Japanese, Sanji means three, San. So in crew terms, it is Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji. Sanji
Yeah.
being the third member that Luffy recruits.
Oh yeah. So you're right. She's technically not part of the crew. She's faking it, and she's kind of just on there to kind of get whatever she wants from these guys, so that she can have this money to buy back her land, which is what we're gonna get to next. Also, I really like how they had the tangerine in the title sequence. The tangerine is a really like significant part of Nami and her history, and, and I love what they do at the end with the tangerine. But we'll get to that in the next episode. Um, so this episode starts out with like a young Nami, and we get to see like where she came from and how she was just a child of war. And I think Belmary, what was her name? Bellamere?
Bellamy.
Bellamy was a Marine, and she saw these two kids and decided to just, adopt them in one of those situations. And Nami, I think she steals something, and or they get into a fight, and I think she slaps Nami at one point, where Nami's just being a brat. And it's one of those things where like she is an unorthodox mom. Like she loves them, and she's their mom, but she adopted them, right? And she's like not a typical mom. Um, and they have a little bit of a tiff, and because of this tiff, I think like Nami kind of regrets some of the stuff that she says to Bellamy a lot. What are your thoughts about
Oh,
the
sorry. I thought you were talking about Bellamy. No, you're talking about Belle Murray. Yeah, that's
Belle
actually Nami's
Murray?
mom. Yeah, no, I was thinking Bellamy. I don't know why.
Oh, okay, sorry. Uh,
Bellamy's a different character. We'll get to that later toward the Skypiea arc for our
oh,
listeners.
that's Bellamy. Okay, never mind. All right. Yes. What are your thoughts of the relationship of young Nami Nojiko and Bellamy?
Yeah, so I'm actually really happy that they included diversity once again. They casted a non-white character for this role for Nami's sister, and
Yeah.
it goes really well with keeping diversity intact in our current times. Also, I think the reason why um, Nami got slapped by her mom was because she had said that we're not a real family or you're not my real mom,
Oh
and that
yeah.
hurt her, and she wanted her to show her that I love you this much, no matter even if you are blood or not.
Yeah. That's very true. And I know you mentioned her race. I went back and watched it, and like if you look really carefully, she is light skinned, but she isn't really white in the anime either. I feel like either they changed it up, or I I don't know. But a lot of people were complaining, and a lot of people did like side by side comparisons of like Nami's skin color and Nojiko's skin color, and they're like they're clearly not the same. So she might not be black, but she was definitely a person of color. And I like the fact that they made her a person of color. I think that was really great. And the actress they got did such a good job. She's such a great actress. Definitely brought that character to life. A big fan of that. But yeah, what else are your thoughts about Nami, Najiko, and Belmari's backstory? Anything else we want to get into that? Because I know in the anime, one of the things that Nami does is she steals a lot, and she steals books because she wants to learn about navigation, and she wants to learn about all of the maps of the world and cryptography and all that stuff. Um, I don't know if they went into that deep in the live action.
I think they a little bit did because what was the villager's mayor? What is his name?
I forget his name. Yeah, the
Yeah,
guy with the scars. Yeah.
this eventually get the scars, but then he also has this pinwheel on
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
So yes, Nami steals a bunch of these books, and she wants to read and create maps. And he teaches her a lesson, and I don't really recall the lesson. I think it was something about you shouldn't steal. It's not good, and you're a good person.
Was it Genzo? Is Genzo the name of the guy?
I can't recall, but let's just say it's Kenzo.
Okay.
It is
Let's.
Genzo, and I just could not remember it for the life of me.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was Genzo, but I wasn't 100% sure. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So while that's happening, there is backstory about what's happening in real time, and we see Garg and Zeph kind of meet each other, and they have a conversation, and you kind of get to see where Luffy gets his love of meat from, because he was like, "Oh yeah, meat. I can sit around here and have some meat, sure." And they talked about how Luffy reminds them so much of Goldie Rogers. Now, when I watch the anime, this point is brought up over and over and over again. There are points where some people say that he's the reincarnation of Goldie Rogers. I've heard people say that in the anime. But it's interesting that they wanted to bring that up so soon in this episode. What are your thoughts on that? Anything that we
The
could share?
timing of it all, I think they just didn't have enough time because I was also expecting the reverse mountain scenes to happen here, like properly. But I
Rever-
think they just ran out of time, ran out of budget and whatnot.
what do you mean reverse mountain? Reverse mountain doesn't happen until they leave the grand they get to the grand line, right?
Right, but it also happens like when they did the in the next episode when they do the thing with their boots on the barrel.
Yeah.
So it felt a little. They definitely rushed it because
Okay.
8 episodes. There's just so much
For
content to put in
sure.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The timing was a bit off, but like, what can you do? This is just one of the things that happens with the live action. You just gotta accept it.
Yeah. So Nami was never part of the crew. And she was just kind of using them until she didn't need them anymore. But then there's also the fact that Nami could have left a little bit earlier, but she decided to hang around when Zoro got into a fight with Mihawk. So like even though Nami is this like, terrible person who kind of used everybody, in the live action they kind of show her sticking around and she's not all bad. Whereas in the anime, they made her seem a little bit more on the hey, I'm just out for myself, whatchamacallit, perspective, I guess. And I guess that's because they also didn't have enough time and they need to show her character development a little bit earlier and see where she's going. What are your thoughts about, Nami as a character in this scene, and how she kind of differs from the anime a little bit?
She shows a little bit more empathy towards the Straw Hats. She's built this bond, and like we had mentioned, when Zoro was injured by Mihawk, she was very concerned that Zoro should not fight Mihawk because she knew that he was gonna like get hurt or die. And the fact that she stayed longer did show that she was building this bond with the crew. And I feel like the difference of her staying kind of helps, like you're saying, build character development. In the anime, she like steals the going Mary, and then the Straw Hats kind of have to venture and figure out how to get to Konomi Islands.
Yeah, yeah. And there's like two other characters who we never see again,
Yeah,
but they're also a part of it. And they kind of help her. So yeah, that's really funny. So in here we get to see Arlong Park a little bit. Now, something you mentioned to me before the
Wait, real
show.
quick,
Sure.
real quick, real quick. One thing I do want to point out about when Nami left,
Mm-hmm.
most of the Straw Hats didn't even believe it. Like Luffy was like, "There's no way she's part of the crew. Something's wrong." Zoro was like, "Nope, she's a friend. Something's up." And then we could always blame Sanji for being obsessed with girls, like, "Oh, he's just after women." But no, he's like, "Nope, she's mysterious and complex. There's something deeper here." Only Usopp was like, "Nope, she's gone. Let it be." But the other three were like, "Nope, that's our crew. We're going
Well,
after her."
well, Usopp is also known as Mr. Negative. He is the most cynical person in the Straw Hat crew,
Oh,
which at one point actually becomes a weapon for him at one point. So I
yeah,
think
Thriller
that's
Bark.
yeah, Thriller Bark is when that actually helps him a little bit. So yeah, I can see that happening. No, I totally get that. Um, I have a note here, and I don't know who this person is. Captain Uzami, is that a
yes.
person? Okay, I don't know. I don't know why I wrote that. I don't even remember who he is.
I think it's Izami, is Izumi.
Izumi,
So
Izumi.
Captain Izumi is part of the Marines, and
Oh
The
yes.
cat
Okay.
guy.
the cat guy. What mouse? Cat? Mouse. I think mouse.
Whatever. Some animal thing. He has whiskers.
He has
I think
whiskers.
more of
Yeah.
a rat. Because he makes a deal with Arlong. And the deal that he makes with Arlong is, I'm going to keep your island under wraps and not tell the Marines as long as you give me money.
Yes, and then Arlong keeps him on his in his pocket, giving him 100K berries or something,
Yes.
and because of that, he gets to do all whatever he wants with the Canali Islands. Get to do whatever he wants with Arlong Park. He gets to do whatever he wants with everything, and the what happens is in the backstory, he comes to the Canoli Islands and just wrecks shit up, and he tells everybody, "Hey, I need you guys to pay me for every person that's here." So it's 100K for every person that lives here, and 50K for every child that lives here. So, Belmarie does is she tries to hide her kids. So she hides what you call it, Nami and her sister, and she gives him 100K. Now, he asks her if you have kids here, and she would not deny her kids. She didn't want to at any point deny that they were her kids. So she said the 100K was never for me, it was for her kids. And because of that, Arlong shot her and killed her. Which
Not
maybe,
only did he shoot her and kill her, he did it in front of the two girls. Like,
yeah,
it was
tra-
just so fucked up. Like,
Mhm.
traumatizing.
ooh,
It's rough. And Arlong is definitely a crazy villain here, and you know that he's the biggest villain here. But then Nami decides to join him, and you're kind of thinking like, what the fuck? Well, she just killed your mom. Why are you going to go ahead and join this pirate crew? And she decides she's going to join this pirate crew to make a deal with Arlong, and the deal is she's going to raise enough money, and when she does raise this money, she can buy the Canali Islands from Arlong, and that's the deal. So that's why she's been doing everything she's been doing. She's a thief. She's been collecting money. She's been taking it back to her island. She's been hiding it. And then she is going to one day buy back the island's freedom. And that's her goal. So you kind of learn why she's doing everything she's doing. Now, Arlong kept her on the crew because she is a very skilled navigator and cryptologist, and she can make maps like nobody else. And for a fishman crew to have like the best maps in the world gives them a huge advantage. Um, Skeeb, what are your thoughts about why Nami did this and why Arlong decided to bring her onto the team? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to also point out one more thing is that when Arlong Park is introduced, the reason why it's different from the anime than the live action, because the live action it's a theme park. In the anime, it's just a really nice area and like a bunch of buildings. Is because the fishermen, when they were young, they were discriminated against, and they couldn't go to the theme parks that all the other humans went to. So they built this theme park in kind of like a way of like they wanted this, and then they got it. Going back to what you were just asking about with how do I feel about like Nami trying to go against the humans and join the Arlong crew. I think she did do a very smart thing, trying to gain the trust of Arlong, trying to help her people at the same time, and I think it all was just for this one master plan for hers. And whether it was from the anime where everyone knew that she was gathering the money to save the island, or everyone not knowing in this one, and everyone's like mad at her. Even her sister was mad at her not knowing. But regardless, I think Nami's intentions were good, and that's what we have to keep in mind.
Yeah, and in the anime, her sister does know, and so does Ginzo and a
Yes.
few of the other townspeople. And I
Yes.
think that was a big change in this one, and it kind of showed how she had to burden it all, the hatred that her own family has for her, the hatred her town has for her, the hatred that this father figure has for her, and she just had to like eat that shit because she had this goal, and all the horrible things that she did for Arlong, she had to do that too because she had a goal and nothing could, get in the way of that goal.
Yeah,
So
and Arlong gave her the resources too. Despite them her imprisoning her, because in the anime you could see that she's imprisoned, and then in the live action they kind of hint at it with the
Yeah.
shackles and being locked in the room. Um, Arlon did give her the tools to create the maps that she needed.
Yeah. Yep, she did. And but as horrible as Arlong is, they do something that they haven't done in the anime until much later, and is they talk about, and you hinted at this a little bit earlier about with the amusement park. The fishmen were enslaved. They were discriminated against, and they had, you know, all these injustices done onto them. And Arlong is having his like Magneto moment where he's like, "Listen, we are the superior race. We're stronger. We can last more in longer in water. We have all of these attributes. Why are we the ones being discriminated against? We are the next stage of evolution." So he believes that he is superior. So he becomes he a fish supremacist basically, right? And it's funny where we see like go from having all this hatred and all of this injustice done to you to being the one who perpetrates all of this injustice. It kind of just goes in a circle. Um, I thought that was very interesting, and I thought that is a very, uh, you know, prominent thing,
Relevant point
relevant point to
to.
today's age. Exactly. Uh, and I'm really glad the show threw that in there. I thought it was pretty good. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, we just said it. Like, what's going on the other side of the world? It's, some people do believe that, violence is the only way to get what they need for liberation in a way. And then, when you get to the Fishman Island arc way later, you realize that no, not everybody's like that. And I'm sorry for spoiling that, but it's not really a spoiler. We've already been introduced to the one fishman who was the maitre d at the restaurant, and he wasn't like that. So
Right.
it's just it's so good. Like,
It's really good.
there's so many things One Piece will touch upon, like slavery, genocide, orphans,
Occupation, indigenous
right?
people being taken from their
Trauma, like
land.
just
Yeah.
everything. It's such a good show.
You have gender too as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, somebody makes a point when Arlong is going on his story about how the fishmen were discriminated against, and someone say, "Well, there is even a fishman on some kind of council. I think his name was Jinbei or something.
Jinbei.
Jinbei."
Hey,
And I've been told that is an Easter egg, and
mhm.
Jinbei is a prominent character later on,
He's a warlord. He's the first son of the sea,
and he's a
and he's a
fishman.
fishman.
Yes,
Yeah.
they mentioned it 400 chapters before the anime series, so it wasn't supposed to be known until after 400 chapters from the point that they're at right now.
Yeah, so they mentioned that in this episode, which I thought was pretty interesting. So it's one of those things where like, oh, discrimination can't exist. You have one of your people in government in some kind of sense of authority, which is something other people say when they try to say, hey, we're not an apartheid state. We have this type of people in government. It's kind of like they throw out their token person to kind of say, hey, this kind of discrimination doesn't exist when it can still exist.
Yep, and that
Jazz.
token person usually is trying their best to fix the exact same issues that are there, but then everybody hates each other, and it's always a mess.
Interesting. All right, cool. So Arlong, Nami tells Arlong that she has the money, and Arlong's like, "Hey, I'm going to uphold my deal. You have the money, you can have the islands." What he doesn't tell her is that he's going to tell the Marines that where she has this money, and then the Marines come and they go looking for this money, and they take her money. And Arlong was the one who told her. So the reason Nami finds out is because she knows that there are the Marines were like, yes, we have the 100 million berries, and then Nami's like, wait a second, how did you know this was exactly 100 million berries? So she figures out that it was Arlong who set this up. What are your thoughts about the double cross here?
The difference between the anime versus the manga, sorry, the live action, was that in the anime it was actually in the tangerine fields right next to the house, but this one
Right.
was at Bellamira's grave, and even Nezuko, or yeah, Nezuko, was so confused and like utterly distraught that it was where her mother was buried. And I feel like I think they could have kept it with the tangerine fields, but this one kind of hit closer to home because Nami wanted to keep it safe, away from everyone, and a place where no one could ever look again.
This is
And so
Yeah.
true.
yeah,
I mean, nobody should dig up graves. That's very fucked up. So,
Yeah.
like, that's a very smart place to keep money like that.
and Arlong is very conniving, trying to get Nami to stay on the crew for as long as she can, because once she gives him the 100 million berries, her freedom is set.
Yep.
Just like slavery, if you can buy out your freedom.
It's almost indentured servitude, right?
Yes,
So
it is.
yeah, that's totally true. Um, and then when this happens to Nami, the villagers and Genzo and her sister, they all find out, and her sister's like, "You let me hate you for so long." I thought that was a great dynamic because the other one, everyone knew it, and everyone kind of just had this, which was like a nice thing for Nami. But in this one, they didn't know, and her sister goes, "You let me hate you for so long," which is also very deep, and I thought that was very interesting too. What are your thoughts on that?
My heart, man.
It's sad, right? When she says when she goes like, "You let me hate you," a sister, that's tough. That's it's
Yeah.
so emotional.
Like, I did almost tear up here. Like, it was really good.
Yeah. All
There's
right.
like not much more we can add to it. Like, just go watch it, people. It's great.
All right. And the next scene I want to talk about, it is the best scene I think in all of Star what you call it in the Straw Hat Goofy like anime. It's when Nami has given up and then she takes a knife and she cuts up her tattoo and then she just kind of gives up and she tells Luffy to go. And then she's crying and she's crying and then she just
Just
asks for help.
throwing dirt at him. Like,
Yeah, she's
just,
throwing dirt
get
at him.
away from here.
So she asks for help because she's just like exhausted and she just doesn't know what to do. Luffy puts the hat on her, which is his treasure, and then he's like, "Let's go." And then all the guys are like, "Say less," and they just all walk down this like walk to Arlong Park, and then the episode just ends, and it's just so perfect because they do it exactly the way the anime does, and they pulled it off. They did such a great job, and it's probably my favorite scene in the entire live action. What are your thoughts?
Agreed. That's it.
Skip.
For me, they did capture the scene majestically. In the anime is where I think I cried the most because the word is taskede, right? To help.
Yeah.
And the way the anime voice actor says it is just makes you like very emotional. And yes, Nami's character did do a really good job. What's her name? Rudd, Emily Rudd. Emily Rudd
Emily
just,
Rudd.
I think Emily Rudd just killed the character. Like she did an amazing
Yeah.
job as Nami, and she knew she watches anime. She like keeps up with it, so
Yeah.
I'm sure she immaculated it very well. And yes, it's called the March to Arlong Park, and you get a very like amazing music in the background, and you just see them going because they're gonna fight the fishermen, and it's like gonna be an all out war.
Yeah. It's so good. The music is there, the walk, the cinematography, they do it just the way. And then you know,
And just like in the live action and in the anime, Luffy goes, he throws his hands in the air, and he goes, "Yes,
yeah.
I will,"
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally.
because we're
Um
friends.
yeah, because we're friends, right? And Luffy is one of those people that does anything and everything for his friends, and that's what means the most to him. Yeah, and that's the end of this episode, man. Overall, I thought it was great. I loved it. The end scene got me hyped, and now I'm ready for the Arlong Park fight. And that also doesn't disappoint. So we'll get into that in the next episode. But anything else that we didn't capture, guys?
I kind of I'm really sad that Hachi isn't in this the live action. He plays a very predominant role. He is the octopus, and he kind of
Yeah,
fights Zoro in the anime. And Zoro always fights like a sword user. But unfortunately, Hachi is not here, and no, we'll see what the live action does with that.
yeah. All right. Well, I am curious too what they do with Hachi, because Hachi does come into play a few episodes later, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks, man. That's all we got for today's episode. Until next time, guys. Salaam, nerds.